It's the old Doctor Who show, episode number 139. Tears on my pillow for you. Android invasion.
Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. You couldn't control my mind before, and you certainly can't control it now.
Would you like a jelly, baby?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things.
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flows, and the TARDIS will be free of the force field.
Well, the TARDIS is more than a machine. It's like a person, you see.
The resulting reaction is Spidey. Are you ready?
Welcome back!
Welcome back
to the old
to
Doctor,
the old
Who
Doctor
show,
Who show, your
tri-weekly
classic
Doctor Who review podcast. We are
I'm
back.
Dan.
It has
One
been
of your
3 weeks of waiting, 3 weeks
It's
of
been.
anticipation, 3 weeks of hoping to God Dan and Eric would come back into your life. Well, we are back, friends. Dan, how are you?
Eric,
How are you,
this
Dan?
is great. Your camera's been following you.
I
all
know, it's
around
very
as you
annoying.
move. No, I like it. This is really
Yeah,
good.
for people that aren't, looking through our windows, we talk to each other on video over Skype, as we do, and I'm now
Yep.
using I forget the name of the Mac OS
Whatever.
feature you use, but now you can use your iPhone as a camera in place of the camera that was already in MacBooks, so now they can stop making MacBook cameras. And it does, it follows you, so I'm using the center stage mode, so sometimes I've seen it feels like I don't move, because I use this when I do client calls too. And it's very distracting, because I'll still be here, and I guess maybe I do whatever, and then it starts like panning over. Like I was on a call, and then someone's like, is that Laura Palmer? Because I have a picture of Laura Palmer on my desk.
Of course
and
it
that,
is.
it's fine. Dan, how are you? We're not here to talk about tech.
Are we not?
We had enough
Accidental
tech talk
podcast?
last week, or
That's
last
a different
time, from
podcast.
what I remember.
I don't remember last time.
We talked at
Eric,
length about Twitter and how I wasn't a fan of things, and it was fine, and we're all off Twitter, and I went back on Twitter for about 15 minutes because I had something to promote. So I was
What were you
like,
promoting,
hey,
Eric? Tell
promoting
everyone what you're
the
promoting.
Czech Republic edition of
please.
Goblin. So Goblin, the middle grade fantasy adventure graphic novel that came out here in the United States from Dark Horse Comics. I have signed away the licensing or whatever rights to it to another publisher, Comics Centrum, I believe they're called, in the Czech Republic. They took the book, Dan, and they changed the language to be Czech. Now, if you're anything like me, you Google yourself frequently, trying to see, like, was everyone talking about my books? Most of the time, they're not, as much as I would like to. But I did, that's how I found it. All of a sudden, I saw, like, reviews of the book in another language. And reading some of the reviews is very interesting because I can use Google Translate. So it's my words having been translated into Czech and then translated back into English via Google. So like we got a nice review, and they were like, in the book, I write some fairies that talk in verse, so all the lines rhymed. So I was reading like excerpts because they were highlighting some of those things, and they're like, not exactly what I wrote. So it's like,
but did they
so
keep the rhyme?
They must. Well, yes. So I imagine. I don't know. I don't speak Czech.
You
Listeners
don't?
of the show,
Okay.
if there's anyone out there that speaks Czech or is from the Czech Republic, we have half of our audience, or more than half of our audience, is from Europe. I would love to know. Please buy the book. If you can, that would be great to sell a lot of copies. Because I would love to get invited to the Czech Republic. But aside from that, I would love someone that was able to read English and Czech to like sort of tell me what some of the differences are, because I don't know. My American publisher, doesn't really know. So it's like, did they take because the poems rhyme in English, do they also rhyme in Czech? I don't know.
It's impossible to say.
It's fine. It's cool. It's very cool. So I'm very excited. I will be getting a comp, so a free copy for myself, and at least one extra one that I would like to give away on this show if I get it by the time the show is still around. I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats, particularly for the Czech Republic. Maybe we have no listeners in the Czech Republic. But if you hear this, you're in the Czech Republic, please contact me. That would be great, just to be able to get an idea of what it's like. Like, who knows what they wrote, right? Is it better?
Yeah.
Is the translated
Oh.
me better writer than the English? No one. No
Maybe
one can
that'll
say
be your method going forward. Is you write it in English, translate it into Czech, and then translate
He's
it back
terrible
again, and that's what
in English, but you gotta read it.
you got to read in the original Czech.
Yeah. But no, of course, it's good in all languages, and you should buy it if you haven't bought it already in the English version. But yeah, it's now
Heck,
available. First publisher,
if you-
first foreign publisher. It just went on sale last week, I think. So please, hit it up.
If you own the English version, why not also buy the Czech version?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
import that. Import it. I'll sign it at the next show I do when you come see me.
he'll hand deliver it to you.
I'll hand
No,
it
he
over.
won't.
But Dan, we're not here to talk about the Czech edition of Goblin now available.
I thought that was
US edition
exclusively
still
why we were
available.
here.
Oh, here's another thing. The Czech edition is nicer than the US edition. Like, the US edition is like soft cover. Mm-hmm. The Czech edition is like this nice hardcover. It looks like it's a larger size. So I don't know, man.
All
I
right.
think someone's got to talk to Dark Horse US and be like, "Where's
What
the
the heck,
hardcover
yo?
edition? Where's
Right.
the hardcover edition, Dark Horse?"
Yeah,
That sounds
let's
like
get
I'm-
that trending
I'm,
on. Anyway.
oddly aggressive on that. No, it's all good. Dan, what have you been doing?
Oh, Eric. What have I been doing?
Watching
Not
White
much,
Lotus?
Well, are we going to talk about that? We could talk about that.
I really wanted to
Let's-
talk about Andor because I
It's
loved
so
Andor.
good.
I literally started watching Andor, which is a Star Wars show for
Best
you all
sci-fi
know.
show ever,
I don't
maybe?
need. This is the one place where I don't think I need to say that. I had no interest in Star Wars, Dan. None. Zero. Right?
Have you? Since when? Like when did
For
you
a
not?
long time now. Let's
Okay.
be honest.
Okay. You were
I
done
wa- I
dirty by
watch a lot
Kylo
of this
Ren.
Stuff. I'm not I did not like the second movie, which I'm blanking on, the Last Jedi. I really didn't like Rise of Skywalker.
Oh God, no, that was terrible.
I hated Book of Boba Fett. I thought that was just bad news.
It was boring as heck.
I thought Obi-Wan was okay. And like I'm saying all these things because I watched them all because I'm a
Of course,
good
yeah,
consumer.
you're gonna watch it.
I don't watch any of the animated stuff. I know people love the animated stuff. So
Bad
of the
Batch is
live
pretty
action
good.
stuff, I think I've seen it all, right? It's
Yeah.
only been Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett, or is there another
And
show?
Mandalorian.
Oh, and Mandalorian. Mandalorian
Which
I
is good.
like most of the time.
Yeah. Same.
And here's the thing, and I don't mean to offend
Let's get
anyone.
into it, shall
Let's
we?
get into it.
Shall
I don't mean to offend anyone.
Too late.
When you're watching, sometimes you're watching, and this actually also applies to new Doctor Who, depending on the season. Sometimes you're watching these shows, and there's like a little voice in your head. You can feel it.
Oh.
It's like a low hum. Mm-hmm. And part of it's like, this may be kind of ridiculous and dumb.
Maybe this isn't so good.
Maybe this really is for children. Like, why am Why am I watching this thing? Not always.
Absolutely
There's that
applies.
feeling, though. Sometimes you get that feeling, and you're like, it's absolutely ridiculous. This is so silly.
Eric, that absolutely applies to New Who, especially
Yes.
the most recent seasons. We're just like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
this doesn't make any sense, but they're making it for kids mostly.
So Andor.
Right?
So I slept on Andor. Didn't watch Andor. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
done with this Star Wars stuff.
Who needs it?
I don't need it.
Not
And
this
I don't
guy.
know what happened. I don't know what turned changed.
Did I
me.
mention it to you first?
Maybe
or I
it was
mentioned it to
you.
you as you started watching
I
it
can't
at
remember.
the same time?
People would see it, and I would,
Yeah.
in the periphery of media, you would see, oh, this is pretty good, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right, I'll
You're like, I
watch
don't
it.
buy
And I
it.
watched the first episode, and I swear to God, it was like maybe a week before the finale, because I was that late. So the show was still on, but I didn't watch it. I watched it in 2 days, the entire season. I couldn't stop. It is so good. It's so well written. You never get that voice. There's never the voice. You're actually like, oh, I'm actually watching a good, well-written show with really interesting characters. Mm-hmm. And it's perfect. I'd say it's my favorite Star Wars thing, maybe ever.
I would,
But
yes.
At least since Empire Strikes Back. And that stuff is so wrapped in nostalgia. And like,
Right, you can't really compare
And they're
that.
different things. And enough with our lists. You goddamn listicle police. We're not making any more lists. It's good. That's all I'm saying. It's like good. And I to my understanding, people aren't watching it. Like,
Wait, what?
the overall population. It's like critically liked,
not
but
watching
I keep
it?
seeing things that maybe the ratings are low. Like lower than Mandalorian, lower than. So I'm.
Well, there's no baby friggin' Yoda. That's why.
There's nothing. There's no fan service. It just stands on its own merit. Once in a while, you
Well-
get like something, but it's not like Mandalorian, where like there's a point you go by the thing and like, oh, there's that. Thing
No,
you
everything
remember.
that's
You
in there
remember.
not fan service, but it fits in the universe, so it's the better version of fan service. It actually is
Oh yeah,
natural.
it's
It
for
makes sense.
fans of that universe, 100%. What I
Yes.
mean when I say fan service is like you remember,
Winking to the camera.
in quotes, like you remember this. Hey, you remember this? Or you
Right.
like, oh, let's redo this scene because, and even like the new Indiana Jones movie. I'm actually very excited to see the new Indiana Jones movie. I think it looks good. I like the director a lot. 100% going to go see it. But there's a part
Baz
in that
Luhrmann,
in
is that right?
Trailer that dropped where he has got his whip. And then they all draw
I'm sorry.
the guns.
I'm just picturing the new Indiana Jones as directed by Baz Luhrmann, which I think would be great.
That's a whole other thing.
Would be really good.
I actually enjoyed Elvis.
Or if it was like a Dogma 95 style.
Yeah, that's actually
That'd
even better. I think it actually is Dogma.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pregnant too. He had to be. He was pregnant in the story. I hope I didn't spoil anything. But anyway, there's like stuff in all of modern pop culture type popcorn movies where you have to constantly get reminded of a thing you've already seen. It's a callback to the thing. And Andor was like a breath of fresh air because there's really none of that.
None of it. Nope. No.
And the characters are great. And like, it's sad.
They have
There's
arcs.
There's a scene with a robot, and I'm nearly crying.
I know.
It's great. So season 2 is gonna happen. I just hope they don't tinker with the formula because they need more eyeballs.
The only thing I read that they're gonna do in season 2 they didn't do in season 1, which was a real missed opportunity, is they're gonna add Jar Jar Binks into
Well,
it.
thank God.
Yeah, they're gonna.
You
they're
have
gonna
to find
retcon
out.
it all.
Okay, yes, he stepped in the poo poo, but who laid the poo poo?
That's what you need to get
Right?
to. It's a whole season about it. No, I totally agree. What a great show. I've watched a couple of
I watched it twice.
Oh,
I literally finished it and then started. Now I didn't finish my second rewatch, but I watched it all the way through, and can't get anyone in my house to watch it, so it's very sad. It's very
ground
sad.
your kids and make them watch
They
it.
don't care.
You know what you did. You don't have to
But
watch
yeah,
it.
we're not here to talk about Andor or the Czech edition of Goblin or the U.S. edition of Goblin now available, or Twitter, or the fact that we're on Mastodon and you are actively posting on Mastodon. You should follow DanJNJ at Mastodon.
LOL.
LOL.
Yeah.
Mastodon.lol. I am Mastodon.social. Grissom. I
That's
haven't
where
used it
everyone
as
is.
much as Dan, but I plan to because you seem to like it, right, Dan?
I like it. It feels like we're not here to talk about Twitter, but it feels like old Twitter. Like it's just people talking to each other, and I maybe it's the way I curated my new follow list and whatever. I'm not getting.
I gotta
a
fix
ton of
that because my follow list
horrible-
is kind of weird. And
No,
boring.
mine is all people making the ridiculous non sequitur jokes like I used to have on my weird Twitter. It was like
Well,
all
that
just
sounds
like
fun.
nonsense.
I think maybe I
and
should
it's
go
so
to
much better.
yours. Yours sounds like maybe it's more comedy focused because it says
It is comedy
LOL.
focused.
In
No.
the-
Actually, that Mastodon.lol is supposed to be like an LGBTQ plus sort of space, which cool, I guess. But like, I don't follow the local feed at all,
Okay.
so I don't know what's going on there. I'm just
I
following.
don't know. It's awful.
Anyway, it's fine.
You
We're
could
not
all
here
follow
to
me,
talk
whether or not
about
I
that.
leave the server. I don't think it even
We're
matters.
here to talk about
We're here
Truth
to
Social.
talk about social networks. We're here to
The
talk about
social
Xanax.
network.
No, we're here to talk about the Android invasion. Right?
Oh, yeah,
we're here to talk about
the
Doctor
Android
Who. We're here to talk about 1975 Doctor Who, the best Doctor Who in the world.
The only Doctor Who that mattered.
The hashtag my doctor. So Dan, let's hit the button, and
Okay.
yeah, let's just whoop. and then we'll go, and then we'll make the sounds, and then the clip will come in, and then I'll come in, and then do it.
Oh, we're gonna switch it up this time. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I've written I've pre-written the intro, so I have the synopsis done. It was actually handed to me. The synopsis was weird.
Hot off the presses.
I felt like a sharp pain, like a pinprick in the back of my skull, and I woke up and the synopsis was taped to my chest, and my kidney was missing. But they were kind enough to put me in a bathtub full of ice, so I'm still here.
It's the little things that really make the difference. Okay,
Dan,
Eric, I found the button, and we're gonna hit it.
This is the oak tree. This is where we landed.
Well, it's not here now, is it?
It's not programmed to auto-operate. It's a fail-safe.
Unless what, Doctor?
Of course, I know. You still got a TARDIS key, haven't you?
I must have lost it.
I haven't lost it. You never had it. Sarah came here, turned the key in the lock, and canceled the pause control. The TARDIS continued on its set coordinates back to Earth.
I don't understand.
Yes, you do. This isn't Earth. This isn't real wood. It's some kind of artificial material like plastic. These are not real trees. And you're not the real Sarah.
Dan,
Eric.
this is the Android Invasion, and this is the fourth serial of the 13th season, lucky number 13. We finally got here. This is from 1975, as I mentioned earlier. Great year for Doctor Who. Really the best. The Doctor and Sarah Jane land in the village of Devonsham. Let's hope that's correct and it wasn't an autocorrect. Only it may smell like Devonsham, but man, it ain't Devonsham. The ground is so dry. Turns out the whole town is a sham. The big lie. Lefty Democrats and their voting machines have turned this paradise into a shell of itself, and all the good patriots have gone away. Get ready for the Q drop. We buried it where we know no one would find it, right here in the middle of the synopsis description of an old sci-fi series from 1975. Joe Polnichek's motorcycle. Repeat, Joe Polnichek's motorcycle. When the grandfather clock strikes 8:30, Webster will reveal himself. The storm is coming. This was written by Terry Nation and directed by Barry Letts of the Lettstown Letts. Dan, what did you think of Android Invasion? I think Dan's circuits are fried.
That was unexpected and delightful.
Was it okay? Because I again, like I felt that it's like a hard to explain this pinprick, and then everything goes black.
Eric, what you're seeing,
and then all of a sudden I'm back here, so I don't know if it's something I got.
This is the joy of revelation. This is when the scales fall off my eyes and I see the truth for the first time. Oh, this is ecstasy, Eric. This little gem was a fun little romp.
Yeah.
What a good time.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I started watching that it's a Sarah Jane adventure, which always makes me happy. So we got my favorite pair of Doctor and Companion.
They pair well.
Probably the best pair.
The best.
We're not doing lists anymore. We don't do that anymore.
We don't do lists.
But if we did a list,
it would be on my top of my list.
Top. So that was fun. A lot of fun. The two of them have that dynamic that feels like a comfortable shoe, comfortable mitt.
Yeah.
It fits perfectly. Well worn.
It's like one of those like blanket suits or whatever, the Snuggies that you put
like
in.
a furry costume,
Yeah,
like a furry. If you're gonna go,
they zip it up and then they
duct tape your mouth.
Duct tape over your mouth, and then you're in the trunk.
Right.
But then you're at the party and everyone's standing on you because you finally feel something for the first time, and it's arousing.
A voyage of self-discovery is what we're saying this one is.
Do you remember, because you and I are close in age.
We are very close.
Do you remember in the 90s, I guess 90s, early 2000s in New York, there was that guy the carpet guy, he was like rolled up in a carpet and you would stand on him when you would go to shows? I put him in an issue of Dead Horse, which is also.
I don't.
Because I forget the guy's name. I am a fan of the Best Show, which was
His name
formerly
was
on
Eric
WFMU and is now independent, and then now the Best Show with Tom Sharpling is on Forever Dog. But he had mentioned it the other day, and I had forgotten, and I was like, "Oh, do you remember that?" You would go to this guy, and then he would be wrapped in a carpet. I think it was like the Carpet Man.
Would his head and feet be visible, or the whole body?
I can't remember, but you would stand on that was what he was into, and he was filthy. It was but anyway, I didn't know if that was a. There should be a documentary on the human carpet, is how it was always told to me.
Eric,
my friend Eric Holmgren would know the name of the human carpet. I'll have to text him at another time.
Be the documentary you want to see, Eric, is what I got to say to you. Okay, so what were we talking about? We were talking about
Android Invasion.
Android Invasion, right.
We usually record these on Sunday morning. It's now Sunday, 5:50.
Sure.
For people that are, plotting, I guess writing the music.
On your timeline.
Writing the musical of the old Doctor Who show musical. This is imagine the night that.
This would be the nighttime one.
Stars, the beautiful stars are out. The Christmas lights.
It's a chilly night out.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what happened to this one? So this was great. It was I thought it was a fun blend of suspense and a little bit of spooky chills and
spooky chills.
Misdirection and. We got aliens with overly complicated plots as normal, which we really enjoy on this show. We got Benton. We got Harry Styles in this one. So I mean, what else? What is not to like? It was a lot of fun. But before we get into the nitty and the gritty, Eric, what did you think overall of this one?
Oh, Dan. Well, first off, I think this was one of those ones. Every once in a while, we review old Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who show, and I'm like, I swear to God, we did this before. Mm-hmm. And then when I was watching it, I was like, oh no, I definitely saw this before. But problem Dan has a light on in my face, and again, cue drop is coming. No, hold on, I don't know what happened. Did anyone hear that voice? Is that man gone? I had seen this, so. I saw that before you. My life is basically pre-Doctor Who show, pre-old Doctor Who show, and post. This was the pre-era. It's only a few weeks.
Right.
So I already knew a little. I remember some story bits. So it wasn't a total surprise, but I loved it. I thought it was a ton of fun. I love Sarah Jane. I love Tom Baker. I love I'm a big fan of the pod trope. Like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers or Halloween 3, which I've talked to at length.
Just like the concept of pods?
That trope of replacing people, pods, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like the pods, they you get copies of yourselves. You know what I'm talking about?
Pods.
Not pods, like Tide Pods. Okay. Full disclosure, we both did Tide Pods for the first time.
I'm eating one right now. I've been sucking on a Tide Pod.
Honestly, it's like chewing on glass, friend. I got blood coming out of my face.
No, but in a good way. In
three
the best
kinds
way.
of clean. My teeth have never been this white. No, I like that trope. So I'm already into it. I like you're not sure who's who. Is it the doppelgangers? All of that stuff was great. So I love that bit.
I liked that a lot in this.
There are some issues with the story.
Are there?
And the Kralls as a evil race. At first, I was like, "It's the Sontarans," because is it the same actor's voice that was also the Sontaran?
It's the same potato.
It's basically
face, but more,
the same thing.
Yeah.
But you got a one-eyed astronaut.
Do you?
No, you don't. But we'll get to that. Guy Crayford or whatever. His name is Guy. So it's already sort of generic, but that was such a weird thing, and I like weird towns, and it reminds me of the Wicker Man. I like all of that spooky, weird business. So it's a good. I would say this was a wonderful story. 4 parts, totally a lot of fun. I don't know. Should we just
not
go
a lot
through
of
it? 'Cause
that.
I could just
yeah, we can go through it.
keep
But
saying
I liked it
it
too. Like that tight 4 episodes with not a lot of like running back and forth to the same places over and over again. And yeah, no, I think
and it's just weird. It had like a weird vibe to the whole thing. Like and that's the way it's supposed to be.
I mean, Sarah going into the pub. Okay, well,
the mystery of the coins and why are these coins all new and have the same date?
Yeah.
Like all that stuff, and you sort of piece it together. And
Does it smell
even the
like
fact
it
that
rained?
the doppelgangers part doesn't come until, from their perspective, until a little later. So it's like a little detective work, and Harry was in it. I didn't know Harry was going to be in it.
I didn't know it either.
I was very happy to see Harry. I was very happy to see Benton. We all know Yates fucked his life up. At this point, Yates was like in a cult, right? Wasn't he in a cult? Or some kind of Nexium situation playing volleyball? Speaking of Nexium, what was the draw on that little guy? He's like a little.
I don't know. I'm
afraid
I got sucked in.
Horrible guy, did horrible things, obsessed with volleyball, and whatever. It's fine. We're not here to talk about Nexium.
We're here to talk about Twitter.
We're here to talk about Twitter.
Okay.
It's a waste
better.
of everyone's time.
Wait.
Yates fucked his life up. I don't remember
That's
in
fine.
the timeline. Remember, like he's like a trader, but then you see him again at like that yoga workshop meditation center. So he's gone. So it's not a Benton Yates. It's I don't think we've ever had a non-Benton Yates combo.
No, we got the
Felt
Benton
like
Harry combo, which was interesting.
It was like two Siamese twin, and the other one was removed for the first time, and he was just all those scenes of him just crying and like this emptiness that he couldn't, and it was because Yates was gone.
Well, the other missing part of that
not unlike the eye patch. One eye was Benton, one eye that was missing was Yates.
This is deep. I really like it. I think the Siamese triplet, the other one that was missing was no Brigadier, which was
that's
real sad.
In this?
I didn't do my research. Who cares?
Fair enough. I was expecting him.
Yeah.
The whole time, once we were like, oh, this is like a heavy unit.
We saw
story.
his door. We saw the door. We saw his name on the door, and then he had to go to Geneva.
It was great seeing Harry though, because it was like, oh my God, Harry was a thing. Like I had forgotten. That's how my brain works. My brain will just shut down and forget that these people were alive. And then I was like, oh yes, he was a huge part of the show, and I like Harry. And there goes Harry.
Bye, Harry.
Maybe Harry.
Yeah,
but yeah.
With
so
his
start
dress
at the beginning. They're trying to get to Earth.
They're trying to get to Earth. They land on Earth, and Sarah's like, "Oh, I'm so glad to be on Earth. It smells like it just rained, fresh and new." And the doctor's like, "Wait a minute.
Yeah, the ground's dry.
Dry. It hasn't rained in a week." So immediately, I think, "Wait a minute. There's something going on in this story." Anyway, so we got that. They see they see a unit soldier breakdancing through the woods.
Yeah.
He's doing his electric boogaloo all over the place. That was incredibly silly. In a good way. I enjoyed the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Not long after all of that business, don't we get the Daft Punk robot guys, or does that happen later?
Oh, in the white suits.
In the white
they come out
suits.
pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly.
That. Yeah.
We saw them in black suits in another one, right? I know we saw, and we made the dumb Daft Punk joke before.
Well, that was a completely different alien.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, was it different, or is it like, oh, okay, we saw this species return later or something?
No, I don't.
Because I felt like it was the
androids.
same thing, right? Where they.
I mean, we've seen the androids of Terra, which was another one, that had the exact same android mechanicals in it.
And wasn't that the same?
Were they
from that one?
Eric, we've done 130 something of these. I can't keep them straight. I have no idea. We're not here to talk about Doctor Who. We're here to talk about plastic men from another planet.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we get them. We get him breakdancing. Okay, first of all, the laugh out loud moment, unintentionally hilarious, is they're following the guy to see where he's going, and Sarah Jane slips and falls over a cliff, and it's 3 different shots edited together, and none of them are convincing at all that she was ever in danger. The first one where Liz Sladen just like kind of falls over in a very awkward way. It was great.
Yeah,
it was absolutely silly and made no sense. And then she's kind of, Doctor, helps her up, and they look down, and it's another quarry, because of course it's another
always a
quarry.
quarry.
But like looking down, the perspective was hard. It looked like it was maybe a 10-foot drop, but then you look and it's like it's 100 feet or something, because the soldier goes whoop.
There is some
right over
great.
the edge.
There is some great. Did I say who wrote and directed this? Terry Nation and Barry Letts.
The one and only.
But the some of the this is jumping to the end. But when Tom
That's
Baker
fine.
fights himself, there's
Yeah.
some great. Like at one point, he like rolls over and just tosses a dummy. I think over his head. It's so ridiculous.
Yep.
But I love it.
But effective. It's just charming.
But
It's
that
absolutely
the
charming.
whole opening though, like, is very cool, and like getting to that town, and when they go to the bar and everyone's
Well,
frozen, and then
That's
then
when
they
it starts getting really creepy.
Yeah.
So, but
because you don't know
okay.
there's no context really to it. And it
No,
just
you
sort
get,
of comes
you get the
together.
guys. You get the guys in the white jumpsuits, and because it's Android Invasion, you know what's going on. Like, I wonder if it could have been done in a different way, where
Like a
it
different
could have
title.
built a little mystery a little bit longer. But you're like, oh, it's androids. But they do the finger guns that pop out, which is iconic. Love that. Chasing them through the woods. They get to the town. Sarah's like, I've been here before. I did a story because there's a
missing
you know,
astronaut.
in a test facility up a mile away from here, so I know this place. But they go into the town, and I loved when they walk into the town. There's just nothing. It's like deathly silent. It reminded me of The Prisoner in a really good way, and I loved that moment. It was just like, you know, it's British. It's got the architecture of the small village town, but it's just like completely dead silent and eerie and what's going on. Loved that moment. Felt really good. So they go wandering around, but they wait. So do they first go in and see everyone? No, they don't see everyone frozen yet. They're going in, the bar is empty. The pub is empty, but there's drinks everywhere. And they say, well, maybe they were evacuated. Maybe it was a big emergency and it was like radiation or something.
Yeah, then they all get
they
off like
see-
on a bus.
Off the back of a flatbed truck. They all shamble down off of it and then go into their places. And that's when it was super creepy. The actors did a really great job. Completely stone-faced, blank-faced as they go into their different positions, and everyone's sitting there. And then finally the clock strikes 12, and they snap to life. And beautiful direction. I think the actors did a really great job with that, everyone. Because there were, like a dozen of them, and they all pulled it off beautifully. So that was really fun and creepy, and like, what the heck is going on? So the whole time, it's an android invasion. So there's not a lot of what's going on
Yeah,
here.
for the viewer that it's not some androids will be involved.
Yes.
But for the doctor, just sort of figuring it out, and like even at one point the doctor figures it out, and Sarah does not know it yet. She still thinks Harry is just different.
Goofy.
He's not
Yeah.
texting her back. It was fun.
He's leaving me on red.
That whole thing, though, like the coins, because you don't really understand that the town,
Like, why?
you as a viewer,
Yeah.
don't know the town is literally not on Earth. Like they're
See,
not on
that's
Earth.
the twist.
That
Is we
was
know
cool.
that we know that these are duplicate people, but we don't know it's a duplicate town
and then it's
everything
a test,
around
and you
it.
hear about how they're running this test.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was cool.
I enjoyed that too. Let's see. I don't know. What else happens? Sarah goes into the bar and she's getting grilled by everybody, and no one remembers that she was there. Anyway, they head off to go to the station to see what's going on there. I gotta say again, charmingly terrible special effects shot of the giant satellite dish superimposed over the building that was there. The shot was not convincing at all, but absolutely charming. Great. So they go in there. Doctor's all skulking around trying to find what's going on. Gets to the brigadier's office, but we got a one-eyed man hanging out behind
who is not happy with the doctor. He's ready to throw him in jail.
But he knows who he is, which is
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
So I guess that astronaut Crawfish knew all about the doctor because he's part of UNIT. I guess this was a UNIT experiment, like sent him into space. Like, how did he know about the doctor?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Also, how does
Okay.
the doctor know that he had a working eye? That's also a
Yeah.
question. The doctor sort of takes a gamble where he's like, at the end, he's like, they didn't actually fix you. Go look at your eye. And then he looks at his eye and he realizes. But it's like, how did he actually know that? We don't know.
And how did he never actually look at his eye?
He
I mean,
never
he's
looked
been
at his eye.
he was
just
gone for
knew,
4
he
months.
Assumed that they had
assumed that they did.
not
I thought they were going to
put him
do
together.
a crazy reveal that he was an
android himself.
who thought that he was a person,
That
which
would
was,
have been.
that would have
now
been.
we
but
need
no,
to
he
get
was just-
you out there talking to Terry Nation. Terry Nation
Me
got
and Terry.
Dalek on the brain. He should have been having Dan Johnson
And-
on the brain, and they would have solved that thing, and it would have been like philosophical, right? And then
Right.
and then the Doctor could have made one of those like little paper horses and left it for a little Blade Runner, and then
Little Blade Runner moment,
Is
yeah.
Deckard an android? I don't know.
No one knows. Yeah. I guess I guess that's
all
not-
of that stuff was cool.
Anyway, that's fun.
I
That's
liked
fun.
the four-parter, so I preferred myself, although I liked the whole four.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. I liked the
not.
part in the town more than
Yes.
once we left the town and then we were back at Unit. But it was still cool because now it was like it switched it up and it's like...
Well, it kinda, like,
when you
shifted
don't
into
know,
high
like,
gear.
you have that scene where the Doctor... This is episode 3, I think. The Doctor's like confronting the General and...
Yep.
He's got his little like android detector that he just happened to have, and it goes off, and you realize that they have already been switched. So that was cool.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it went from mystery to suspense, like infiltration thing, what's going on, to like
then it's very much
action,
like a body snatcher type of thing.
body snatcher moment. So we find out that astronaut Crawfish was a deep space astronaut, and
It's a very strange name too. It is not
Yeah.
Crawfish, right?
no,
like
it's Crawford.
or
It's
something.
Crayford.
But
Sure.
his whole like guy like it just feels like it was a generated name from like he's not American, but it seems like that was like an American astronaut, Guy
Sure.
Crayford.
Sure, why not?
And he's a weird character too. Like he's in the world, he flies into space. They lose contact with him.
Yeah.
Then
They think
picked
he's
up
lost.
by these aliens, and he's gone for 2 years. So why did it take 2 years?
Wait, was it 2 years? I thought it was 4 months.
Why did I think it was 2 years? She wrote the story.
Why did I think it was 4 months?
I don't know. It's one of the
Well,
two.
we could look it up.
4 months is more okay. That would totally throw what I was about to say out. I just felt like 2 years was like a long time for him. I guess they had to hatch the plan, right? They had to study. So what do I know? It would take 2 years. That's fair enough.
Wait, hang on.
I think it's 2 years, right? And they figured out
I don't
like
know.
they had to like
Let's just
go
say
to
he
Earth
was
and they had
gone
to
for
figure
a
out like,
while.
how to make a nickel, right? They had to figure out how to make a nickel or whatever the English version of that is, a halfpenny.
Sure.
I don't know what is being used over there. And then
Uh-huh.
they made like how did they make all the stuff? Why do they
I don't
just
know.
make your own planet like Cybertron or something? They don't need Earth. Their planet's full of radiation, but they have the technology to make anything they want.
They made fake plastic plants. They made
did.
recreated the entire plastic plants that were as strong as steel, apparently, because the
Yes.
Doctor gets tied up
So dumb.
to a
where they have
pillar
to
in
saw
Little
through
Town.
the yeah.
Yeah,
That was a funny part because like that's when the Daft Punk white robot guys
Yep.
like he just all of a sudden the guy just leaves and he's going. It's like, is that guy gonna go to the bathroom? Like he just goes into the brush, but he's actually grabbing.
I'm on break.
grabbing
I'm on break.
he's smoking a butt. Yeah, he's getting his power weed or whatever. Yeah, that was interesting.
That was great. One thing I will say, we had a lot of hide and seek going on.
Yes.
So in the second episode, that's when they're in the facility and they're trying to do the runaround, which I thought was actually kind of fun. I like the moment when Benton pulls a gun on them because we know what's going on, but it's not really absolutely clear. And then all of a sudden, he pulls a gun. And it's just like a nice thing to see, like these friends of each other, and like this is a really bad dude.
I like that.
Anyway,
later on, that Benton does shoot the Doctor. He shoots the wrong
yes,
Doctor. But
the wrong Doctor, but
yeah.
he did do it.
That scene was kind of funny.
We get them running. We get Sarah and the Doctor running through the woods, and they did the thing that I always hate. She trips and falls and twists her ankle. Why didn't the Doctor twist his ankle?
Why did they twist his ankle? When you say that, the only thing that I think
Spalding.
of is that Kids in the Hall zombie sketch where it's like Dave Foley and Kevin McDonald, and they're running from the zombies, right?
Yes.
Do 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 do, and then keep dropping
Yes,
the
yes.
shoes. Yeah, I that's fine. Keep going.
I had forgotten about that one.
They just keep dropping the shoe, the same shoe over and over and over.
But anyway, so Sarah trips and falls, which led the Doctor to put her up in a tree, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then strew her
Yeah,
clothes
yeah,
all
right.
over the place.
Yes, that part is great too because they got the hounds are after them. The hounds don't
Yes.
smell up the tree. They're not going to smell
No.
her scent all the way up the tree.
They didn't even bother smelling the clothes. They didn't train the dogs. They didn't put a treat or like a hunk of beef underneath the clothes. They just walked right by that too. But it was fine. And you get to see they're like, oh, they must have swum across the pond in the 10 seconds since we last saw them. And the Doctor is just hiding underneath the water, which was a nice fun. What I like about, among many things, one of the things I like about Tom Baker is he's not afraid to be goofy and silly and put himself, like, he just looked like a drowned rat and like the little spit like adorable. Love that.
I will, and since we're going all over the place,
We sure are.
we're all over the place, so it does not matter.
No.
First thing, it was Dave Foley and Mark McKinney who were
So for everyone
Kevin
at home
McDonald
screaming at their
was actually
podcasting
a
device.
zombie. No,
Thank
I got to
you.
give it up for Tom Baker. When Tom Baker plays the evil doctor, the doppelganger doctor,
Yes.
I thought he did such a good job of saying all of the things that the doctor would say, but delivering them in a way that felt like it
Yes.
wasn't the doctor. I just
Yeah,
thought
it
he
was
did
very
such
clear.
a great job with that. Like, you could feel the difference between the two.
It was clear without like telegraphing it.
Right,
It was
and
just,
all
like,
the things
obvious.
he was saying totally made sense. That you would get
Yep.
that from a brain. By the way, the brain reading that painful. I feel like they could
Yeah.
tweak the settings a little bit, make that a comfortable experience.
Right, then everyone would do it. Why
Yeah.
not? Let's just jump in there.
But I thought he was so great. Like, I was very impressed with his scene.
Absolutely.
And how great was the,
How
so
great?
like they're landing on Earth, right? Part 4 probably.
Sure.
The Doctor somehow the G-forces. She's in a sarcophagus, and they
Oh,
don't get it
are you-
closed, but it's
you're
supposed
jumping
to crush
there
her
already.
skull, but it doesn't.
Yes.
And then the Doctor does the old peekaroo and sees that the evil Doctor is talking to Sarah Jane, but doesn't. She just is cool with it. It's fine. But I love the scene when they land, and she's with the evil Doctor, and like behind her, behind the Doctor, that other capsule open, and
lifts
the
up.
other Sarah Jane comes out.
Yes.
That was a great visual.
It was pretty cool.
Loved it.
Yeah, there were a lot of like fun little moments like that. Since we're jumping ahead to the
Just
G-forces,
go all over the place,
though,
doesn't matter. The
since we're jumping ahead to the
G-force
G-forces at the
ridiculous.
cliffhanger at the end of episode 3 when they're okay. So their plan is they're going to get into these pods because they're the part of the invasion force. So they're going to be able to withstand
Which
space.
is
and they're gonna have
also
air in there.
the Phantom Menace. Isn't that the same thing? We got to bring it right back to
Absolutely.
when they land on the planet of the Gungeons or whatever they're dead. Right?
Gungans.
The Gungans.
Dungeons.
The dungeon master
Dungeness crap.
makes me go
But
faster.
okay, so they're like, okay, it's gonna be fine. We'll be in space and the air, and we'll get through. But we might crash and it'd be turned to pulp. But okay, so
And
but
she
it'll
does
save us
that
from the
laundry
G-forces.
list of like
and then
all of the things that
all the
would
things that
happen,
can
and then
But,
the
okay,
last-
we'll just do it. But the cliffhanger moment is Sarah Jane. She didn't close the pod enough, and the G-forces are
she
affecting
didn't
her.
close the
and
pod at all.
and her lips are just pulled back on her face. It's a tight crop on just the center of her face, her eyes, nose, and lips. And you just know that Liz Sladen is just pulling back her face just out of frame.
How did
It
she
was
survive?
so
Like, wasn't she
funny.
supposed to?
Maybe she didn't.
Oh,
Maybe they're
okay.
two
I mean,
androids.
Yeah, the evil android doctor is like, yeah, humans, you blacked out, so she only would black out. But it seems like, I don't know, it's fine. It's all
It is fine. It was
make-believe.
fun. Oh,
But it was fun.
that's right. This wasn't a documentary.
But the doctor
so
sees
that was
this
fun.
happen. He sees this happen. He knows that she's
Yeah.
going to be in danger, but he doesn't do a psst or like a wink wink or a something to like let her know that he just goes right. He's like, I'm going to be safe. And he just closes himself right back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't survive, then he'll be able to help her later.
I was
She's
gonna say
gonna
he
be
closed it.
okay.
He closed it up like he's gonna do a little parquet, and then I was like, "Do you remember that dumb butter commercial where the butter would talk, the parquet
Yes.
margarine?"
Absolutely.
Throw that out there.
Just anyone else remember that?
Anybody remember that?
Hey, everybody, jump
talking
on
parquet.
social media, tell us
Commercials
about
were
your
a lot
favorite
more
commercials.
interesting, and you go to a cereal aisle now. This is like my new Mickey Rooney. Is it Mickey Rooney? Andy Rooney. Not
Mickey Rooney.
It's a whole.
He put
that's
on
a whole other
shows
thing.
with Judy Garland. Yeah.
The breakfast cereals don't have toys in them anymore.
No.
That was the whole reason
No.
I would go food shopping with my dad every other weekend when he had custody. What kind of weird crap am I gonna? Because they still make Quisps.
Quisps.
I don't think I've
remember
ever eaten Quisps. It looks the way it looked in 1981, probably the last time you thought about Quisps. Same packaging, but you would see like weird things. They'd give you like a handgun or like a butterfly knife in there. But no, we're not here to
detonated
talk about.
landmine.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about cereal.
No, we're here to talk about Twitter. So we actually skipped over the fact that Sarah Jane then gets androidified, and we get
she
an
goes through the
iconic
machine and gets
scene
copied.
of android Sarah sitting up and gonna shoot a gun, but she gets knocked over and her face falls off.
That's great.
Her dang
I took
face
so many screenshots
falls
of
right
that, by
off.
the way. I'm
It's
like,
so
this
good.
is the best.
It's one of the most wonderful things. Just absolutely.
Now, don't you
the
remember
best.
seeing Sarah Jane android face fall off before? Am
No,
I crazy?
You may have seen it, but
Well,
we
Androids
don't-
of
we didn't have
Tara
the
we
same-
did, right? So that also probably had the same looking android
It was the
face.
exact same androids, yes.
Same maker.
So we
They
saw
did-
that, but
they
I don't
did
think we
not
saw
patent it, unfortunately.
We didn't see Droid Sarah in that case, but that was super fun. So between Sarah's face falling off and her lips getting pulled back, it was a big day for Sarah Jane's face in this story. What else do we got? So here's the thing.
Tell me.
What's the name of the baddies? We got the
the crawls?
Thank you.
Yes.
So it was.
And
is this based on the movie? This is the
styrofoam.
movie Crawl.
Styrofoam.
This is based on the movie Crawl.
The styrofoam. It's crawl.
Styrofoam.
Because
the Crawl.
with the styrofoam container, you could keep your lettuce and tomato cold.
You get that cold, and
keep
then
your,
the hot stays hot.
And then,
Are we talking about the McDLT
we're
right
gonna
now?
talk about the McDLT because we're here for it. And when what's his face?
They're bringing it back.
Yeah. Why can't I think of his name? Jason Alexander. The Jason Alexander commercial where he's singing in the streets about the McDLT. You know the commercial I talk about?
I didn't know that was Jason Alexander. I don't remember that.
If you
commercial,
watch it
but,
now, you'll be like, "Oh wow, that's Jason Alexander singing about the hot stays hot." It's the worst thing ever, and now it's the song I have to go out of this dumb episode on.
I don't think we need to. There's so many good. I was thinking of Fake Plastic Trees.
You know what? I nearly
but
said
maybe.
fake plastic trees when you said fake plastic something before.
I know. I said fake plastic plants because I didn't want to tip my hand on that one,
Yeah.
but we can use it anyway. Eric, what was I going to say? Oh, so when they do their brain suckage,
Yep.
and that's how they get their memories, and they're going to be androids. So now that alien race knows everything the Doctor knows. That seems pretty powerful.
That
They
seems
have
pretty
all the
dangerous.
memories of a Time Lord. I don't know. Maybe we'll see
so
that come back,
That's
but we
an
won't.
excellent point, though.
Thank
they
you.
know all of the inner
Everything.
workings of time travel.
Well, except those two do. Like, we only saw two.
yeah,
of
that's the other thing.
Crawl,
Like they
right?
keep talking about the fleet.
The fleet.
in quote.
Yes.
Coming. They're always waiting to radio ahead, but it kind of makes sense. You send your smaller force first
Sure.
to do your intelligence.
It's just like you always do. Like anyone, if you're planning a large-scale invasion, you're always going to start off by replicating an entire village on an isolated planet. Like,
what
everyone
about
does
when
this.
the
You
one
know this is what you
scrawl
do.
dies and he gets his face full of poison? Because
It's
we've
goop
read about that.
everywhere.
There's also the subplot of them
Of the
poisoning,
virus.
like the one-eyed astronaut thinks that
Captain
they're
Crawfish
good
thought it was gonna be
people
peaceful.
and that they're just we're gonna live in the northern hemisphere is gonna be the Skrulls and the southern hemisphere, but he didn't do the math that there's too
He didn't
many
really think it
people on the
through.
planet. You can't move everyone to the southern hemisphere. People have to
No,
die.
the whole planet would flip. It would spin.
Yeah.
Wrong.
So they're going to create a virus, water-based virus, right, or something. They're going to give everyone
they
drinks.
put it in the water.
They're going to,
Yep.
And kill everyone. So they give
Jonestown
it
style.
to. They give it to.
Sorry. They put it in the Kool-Aid.
Put it in the Kool-Aid.
It's not funny.
Literally.
That's not funny.
They go
That's
to
not funny.
Jonestown,
That's not funny.
Southern
That's not
Hemisphere.
funny.
They got the wrong hemisphere.
Wrong hemisphere. Anyway.
Right?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? No, so
But yeah,
they
so they're gonna do
save
that.
the water. They do the electrocution thing. No, but we were talking about the poison. So the poison.
The electrocution
there,
part was pretty good.
And the Skrull dips his head and he falls over in his head, and it is the most disturbing acid face. So like you think it's the good doctor, it's the bad doctor. Comes in, this is the very end, knocks out the It's not the Skrull. Now I'm getting into Marvel stuff.
I was going to say it's Crawl.
It's
Crawl.
the Skrull. Yes.
It
could have been.
I was
This,
getting really confused.
So he knocks out the Krull. Remember that movie with the
Krull with the
throw the thing.
Throw the thing.
Yeah.
It's a boomerang.
He falls his face and it. I found that
off.
so disturbing when it was John Travolta underneath. But no, like the bubbling and it looked toxic, and everyone on set is gonna be sick for years.
Well, it's because all of his thetans were coming out. So.
Whatever they're burning, though, that you should not be. Some poor guy, this poor on a sound machine and the boom operator, they are not coming back, friend. They're sick.
This was their last show. It's fine. They knew knew what they were getting into when they signed on for this. It's fine.
You gotta sue.
Okay. So then what else happened? Okay. Cool. I will say that Sarah does save the Doctor when he's getting his brain sucked out. How does she save him? Just by flipping random dials on the console.
But thank God, because he's about to be. Because they explain it like you'll feel It's almost like put your hand in the box.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel the expansion of your brain, and your whole skull's gonna explode.
It's not going to be a fun death, but
they make a lot of things. Like even early on, when they're on the planet that has radiation, and the Sarah Jane's like, "There's radiation here. It's gonna make us sick, right?" And the doctor's like, "Just don't be here that long." I don't think it works like that. I think they're all gonna get sick, right?
Is that a
what is the
episode?
time? They never say how long do you have to be on the planet before. Plays Fast and loose with the facts is what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Dan.
It's fine. They're gonna be okay. We know it's gonna be okay. Oh, I will another kind of foreshadowing. Unintentional foreshadowing, I think. So Sarah, in the beginning,
the great Sarah Jane, yes,
the great Sarah. I'm talking about the Sarah Jane Smith goes back to the TARDIS. The Doctor sends her with this key. It says we'll meet up, and she goes there and puts the key into the door, and then notices the pod there. Leaves the key in the door, goes to check out the pod, and the TARDIS takes off
on its own.
And she's like, "Doctor, don't leave me! I can't believe he left me here." And in my head, I'm like, "Not yet,
you are
but
right.
soon."
That is a bit of foreshadowing.
Oh, it made me so sad. It really did, because no one watching it at that moment has any knowledge of this.
And
but
then
for me,
TARDIS completes its journey and goes to UNIT, right? Because they're like, "Hey, this Doctor has never showed up here without not being in his TARDIS." That should have set up a couple of red flags.
It did. It set up a bunch of red flags there. But anyway, that was just a moment I didn't want to overlook. We get the Doctor fighting. The Doctor fighting the Doctor. We get
on Doctor action. You usually have to pay extra for that.
Yeah. But they didn't do the hey. He's the bad guy, not me. No. He's the bad guy. They didn't do it.
I'm like, when's that coming?
Glad they did. I'm glad they stayed away from it. It was great. I'm sorry, I gotta say it one more time. This is in my notes, and I'm obligated by law to read what's in my notes. That Commander Crawfish never looked at his eye.
Better. Oh,
and
never looked in his eye his entire life.
I don't understand how he never looked.
Wouldn't you want to clean it? Like the guy doesn't take because you get crusties in there.
Yeah,
you're gonna. I mean, I don't know when that's lost an eye. So if you're out there and you only have one eye and you're going, "That guy doesn't understand," or you're scrubbing away because you're not.
You're like, "This guy gets it."
This guy gets it.
Finally, someone speaking.
Finally, the voice for us. The one-eyed astronauts.
All right. I don't think there's anything else to talk about here. They did
more.
It. They saved the day. Everything's cool.
Yeah, I don't really have much. That's again, whenever we like the story, it's very hard to find out. But Dan, I'm sure while we may have nothing to say anymore,
folks,
other people probably do. Dan, why don't
this
is the good stuff.
This is the sign of a true master of the podcast art form. That's called a transition. So let's talk about what you all had to say about it. So I as I sometimes remember to do, asked you to tell me what you thought on Twitter, and I thought for funsies, let's see if Mastodon has some Doctor Who heads out there, and you do. So on the Twitters, Nitro9 says to me about this episode, "Gotta love a dramatic eye patch reveal." Yeah, nuts. So.
And that moment was there was like some sadness. Like the actor did I think a pretty good job given how dumb it is.
Yeah,
right? Like he was he was trying to sell that scene.
Yeah, he totally committed to it. I don't know how he got there, but it made no sense. So we got that. We got our friend Paul Paranoid says, when I was a kid, these Doctor Who annuals were almost 100% all Doctor Who material you were going to get outside the show and novels. Even during the Tom Baker era, there would be these unit-heavy stories with them, stories in them with lots of pictures of helicopters, rubber dinghies, and hovercraft. As a kid, I read and reread these bizarre stories that were more of the Pertwee era, tending towards the Quartermaster Avengers in feel. Android Invasion is one of the few stories that feels like a live-action manifestation of one of those, and nostalgically, I can't help but like it for that. I mean, it is such, like we were saying, it has so many different things going on. It's got the suspense, it's got the mystery, the thrills,
It's got it all.
kind of horror, you got the action, double crosses, triple crosses, who knows? Super fun. So, yeah, that was great. Alan Kingsley says, this one drags in the middle. I really can't even recall what much of parts 2 or 3 happened, but it's bookended by great stuff. I love the creepy town at the beginning and everything about the invasion at the end. Seeing Tom Baker play menacing with Sarah in the woods is fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
when,
one scene.
when it's first revealed that he's there, he's the bad doctor, and he just kind of reaches out for Sarah and she runs away, and then turns around and bad Sarah's coming up out of the pod and just kind of puts her legs over the side of the pod and waits for him to help her out. Like, the two of those, just this evil pair. It was fun. Anyway, there was nothing more to that than just neat. Hey, remember that thing we just watched? Anyway, Misfit Scully says, "Hey guys, my memories of this is the last appearance of the great Ian Marter as Harry, who went on to write some of the best Target novels."
Oh, what did he do? He went on to do what?
He wrote some of the Target novelizations or novel versions. Yeah, yeah. What were you going to say about Harry?
I was
Harry
saying
Styles.
I had read that this was his last one, but it's also Benton's last Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So they're both
so
out.
Sad.
So.
This is it. Good one to go out on. It was fun. Misfit Scully goes on to say, met him a few times in the 80s at conventions, and he's a lovely man.
Cool.
Oh, and the story is a Terry Nation script. I like it. With 2022 eyes, the revealed androids are disappointing, especially with the duplicate Sarah. Yeah, but I love the cheesiness of it, so I'm not going to complain about it. I think it's great.
When she's shooting the gun like you were talking about, with the face missing.
The face missing, just
Chef's
fantastic.
kiss,
Perfect. No notes. But this was the end of 1975. I shouldn't be critical. It's still an enjoyable story. Love the look of the Khals, or Skrulls, or whatever we want to call them now, because we've said it 20 different ways so far. Very scary looking when you're 7. Hey, very scary looking when you're in your 40s.
Yeah, I swear that did you tell me that it is the same actor as the Sunterra?
No, I just
made that up.
Supposed it might be, but it's the same problem. It's like on paper that alien design looks awesome, but in practice, it's just a rubber mask that doesn't move very well, and it just isn't very convincing, and it looks like a potato. So, oh well, you can't win them all. So really, that's what we got from the Twitter. Let's go over to the Mastodon side and see what these crazy people have to say.
Now, at home, you can decide where do you think we got more feedback, Twitter or Mastodon.
Hint, hint, Mastodon. Okay, so Elon Musk at Mastodon.com says, no, this was Luke Harrison says, I really enjoy it in spite of its flaws. I made this video about how the village was filmed.
Oh.
And I'm going to, it's a YouTube link, and we're going to add this to our show
watch
page.
That video.
We're gonna add this to our show page. So that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for providing that. So yeah, you can actually see the real live village there. Pretty cool. Cliff Chapman says, I enjoyed the book in the early 1990s. Reading a passage of it got me super high reading age in year 6 for an assessment. I thought this was going a different place.
Yeah,
I see.
As soon as you did that,
because he could read that
perked up.
passage, he advanced higher. Okay, anyway. But I remember being quite disappointed with the VHS when it came out. Such a shame Nick didn't want to or couldn't come back as the Brigadier. Oh, it's a shame that Nick couldn't come back as the Brigadier substitute is poor.
This would be a great podcast of just me and you learning to read by reading Viewer Man. You can do it, Dan.
Okay, I'm going to sound out each word. Okay. It's a shame that Nick didn't want to or couldn't come back, as the brigadier substitute is poor. That colonel guy,
Yeah, who was not
just a regular
we
guy.
We hardly mentioned him.
Don't even care, frankly. And Benton and Harry didn't get decent send-offs. I think they got a good story.
Did
but
they
didn't get a real
know?
send-off.
Did they know this was the last
Right.
hurrah, and that's why they're both in it, or was it like they just didn't get the call again? We don't know. And by the way, the person that played Stigrin was Martin Friend. He did not play a Centauran ever, so
No, well, not professionally.
not professionally. Just
So Cliff Chapman finishes by saying but it's charmingly silly, even if it doesn't make much sense. And Barry Letts does a great job with his film work. Absolutely. I mean, this is what we expect.
now he's
from,
normally the
Mr. Letts.
producer of the Doctor Who.
Yep.
So I don't know if we've seen him direct ones before.
We probably have, but
There you
we're
go.
not going to do our research. We had a little back and forth there, Cliff. So thanks for the notes there. I mentioned how much we love the Sarah Jane and Tom Baker pairing. He says, I know the feeling well. A lot of us grew up in the 80s and 90s as fans watched in a weird order. That's what I was saying. I couldn't remember which we saw in the right order. It's a long story. What was out on VHS, what you could afford, what was in the shops and rental shops, because they by no means got everything in stock. So it's just whatever was available. For a long time, I held off watching all the Sarah Jane adventures.
I've never
Saw
seen
some
that,
mostly.
too. Yeah.
As I didn't want to run out of Liz, but glad I've seen them all the same. It's rough when we run out of Liz because she's a gem. So thank you for that. Richard says, I have no memory of it being broadcast, which is unusual. I can only think I didn't see it. My first encounter was through the novelization. So many people came to these through the novelization, which is interesting because it wasn't airing. So
No.
how
Well,
else are
when
gonna
you
get
really
your-
like something, you have no other way to get involved.
Yeah.
You read the novelization. I
Read the
told
novelization.
you how I read the novelization of Predator as a young child. I was just really into the idea of Predator.
Was that was an early Cormac McCarthy, right?
Yeah.
He did the original. That's
very
amazing. Okay. My first encounter was through the novelization. Because of that, it had a mystique. I love the story. It wasn't until the VHS release that I finally saw it and liked it, but there was no hope of it living up to the vivid pictures of a child's imagination. So that's going to be a hard thing to see. I can't imagine you read it and like reread it because like that's the only thing that you have of the Doctor Who, and then you finally get to see it, and it's going to be hard.
It's hard. It's always a little bit disappointing. Like when I
not
was
the best.
very into He-Man and I would read those mini comics, and then the Filmation cartoon came on. Oh yeah, I was into He-Man before the cartoon. And who's this Prince Adam guy? The mini comics, he's like a barbarian. It's this nightmare world. But it was fine. The cartoon's fine. Can keep going.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to say that your name is Catherine X.
Okay. Yeah.
Coe?
Catherine?
Sorry if I'm mispronouncing, but thank you for writing. They say, my question was, how do you think of this? Fondly or cringe? Fondly. It's a rather implausible story when considered as a whole, but it has a catchy idea and some wonderful moments of creepiness and horror, and great performances from Tom and Liz, especially playing their not quite right doubles. Nice to see Ian Marter and John Levine for
100%.
the last time, too. It fits in nicely to the season of horrors as a rare example of non-Dalek Terry Nation story, being right in the middle of the Hinchcliffe era production that is polished and assured. Polished overall. I mean, like we mentioned, some of the special effects were charmingly terrible. But yeah, absolutely. It's just, I mean, you can't go wrong with Liz and Tom.
No. And this is like, as they were just pointing out, this is a magic season. The story before this, Pyramids of Mars. The story after this, Brain of Morbius. So it's
Really
bookended
is one of the.
by,
Maybe it's the best season.
Great stories.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe. 100%.
Maybe. Okay. So, wow. Just realized I've had noise canceling headphones on the whole time,
my
and I'm
God, you're not
absolutely I'm absolutely shouting. My levels look
All
good
right.
though. You're gonna be all right. Anyway, a little peek behind the curtain, folks. Dave Morgan says lots of lovely moments. Pity about the eye patch plot point though. Yeah, it's not great, but you're right. He did sell it, so it's all right.
He was just really working it. God bless him.
I thought he was a very good actor, very convincing. You thought, like, he really believed, okay, they're going to give us a chance. They saved me. They could save all of humanity. It's fine. Long Scarf Publications says, oh, by the way, watching this with my boyfriend, he actually was in the room while I was watching it for part of the time, which never happens. And he was like, holy crap, that's a long scarf. It might have been the first time he's ever seen Tom Baker's scarf. I was like, yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Yeah,
and
that's what he's known for.
It
You don't
must
pay
be
attention to
filthy.
me at all. I've been doing this for 7 years.
That scarf. Anyway, Long Scarf Publication says, it's terribly written.
Okay.
The Doctor isn't in character for parts, and the plot doesn't make sense. Yet it's so entertaining.
Yeah, I think the Doctor's in character
thought he
for
was.
a part. I mean, when he's not himself, he's playing a character of the Doctor, not himself. Or maybe they mean just in general, he was off.
I thought he was. I thought
He was great.
Vintage Fourth Doctor fun in this one. They continue to say it just shows how good a Tom and Liz partnership is, because it can be great even beyond all the shortcomings. So thank you for that, and Capron, X Crowley, and I go back a little bit back and forth on this, but you can read all of that on Mastodon.
Yeah.
So thank you, folks, for reaching out and letting us know what you thought about this. It's great
And
to
if
hear
you
other
like what
perspectives.
you heard today and you want to hear more, in 3 weeks, Dan and I are going back to Hartnell. We're going right back to Doctor Number 1 for something called The Ark. I keep thinking we're done with Hartnell, but he keeps coming back.
We're
But
done with
next
Hartnell.
time is the last arc. As we said before, there are no more
So many
classic
arcs.
Doctor Who shows left for us to review. If we've missed one, anyone that's available to watch and it's complete, let us know. But otherwise, we only have 3 more stories left, and then the movie. And then we're done forever. So, yeah. So get ready. The Ark, Hartnell, next time.
Fantastic. Is it 20 parts?
I don't
hope
want
it's
to
20
look.
part.
I'm not going to look.
I'm terrified.
I'm not
It could
gonna
be.
look.
If it's an early
Oh,
Hartnell, it could
God.
very easily be.
4 weekly parts. Yes.
Okay. All right. A nice brisk pace for this.
Yeah.
So, folks,
So thank you.
If you wanted to get in touch with us, you could do that still on Twitter until it melts down. That's at TODW Show. You can also find us on Instagram until it steals all of our information about us and creates duplicates, and that's also at TOW Show. You can email us. Remember that thing? Email? That still exists. It's theolddoctorwhoshow@gmail.com.
And you know what? That's the best way.
That's one of the best ways. You
One
can
of the
also,
best ways.
if you wanted to, go to theolddoctorwhoshow.com. Go to the schedule page. You'll see links to every single one of these that we reviewed. In the podcast feed, there's only the most recent 100. Sorry about that, but they're all there. And a lot of GIFs. A lot of fun stuff in there.
And Dan
so,
is at, as
enjoy
we said,
them.
Dan JNJ at Mastodon. He will read your feedback.
Dan JNJ at mastodon.lol.
There you go.
Eric Grissom's at
eGrissom
at
mastodon.social.
mastodon.social, where everyone is. Everyone's on mastodon.social. That's the cool
right.
place. Yeah, and then you can go to the Czech Republic and buy a copy of Goblin.
Yeah, or import it into your own town.
I think you ought to just go. You've been
You
meaning
go.
to go, folks. Just go. Just go get it while you're there.
Yeah, buy that book.
Eric.
Buy that book. And so it
Buy that
sells,
book.
and it's like a hit. And then they're
Like
like, we gotta
hotcakes.
fly this guy
Around
to
the
the Czech
world.
Republic. And then we can do the old Doctor Who show live in the Czech Republic. Can you imagine?
Am I
in this,
coming too?
Yeah, in this scenario, they're
going.
also
All right.
flying you
Why wouldn't
over
they?
as well.
Of course they would.
All right, Dan. I think that
Eric,
does
I think we did
it for us.
We're done. Let's get out of here.
I'm hungry. You're
Everybody-
tired.
Say you're getting tired of lettuce and tomato hamburgers in this town that don't quite make it?
He's got potatoes to
I
eat.
got potatoes. I made mashed potatoes, and they're
tater.
probably
He got
cold.
taters.
You say that just once you'd like your hamburger hot and your lettuce and tomato cool and crisp all at the same time?
Folks, you're all the best. We love you. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Well, I say, you got it. I'm talking McDonald's new lettuce and tomato hamburger, the McDLT. I'm talking quarter pound of beef on the hot, hot side.
And the hot stays hot.
The new McDLT.
Hot, hot.
Crisp lettuce and tomato on the
For a fake Chinese
stays cool. The new McDLT. Cool crisp. The beef stays hot. The cool stays crisp. Put it together, you can't resist. The hottest taste. The coolest dish.
Keep it hot, hot. Keep it cool, cool. McDLT, McDLT. Hot beefy McD. Cool crisp LT. McD. LT. It's a good time. Hot beefy McD.
time for the
Ever.
to get rid of itself. The words around, the words around, the words around, the words around. She lives with a broken mind, a crackpot, a styrene man who just crumbles.
Where's my robot? You know?